You have a task to do. It's important. Maybe it's urgent. You know you should start. You've told yourself you'll start. And yet hours pass, and you're doing anything else. Scrolling, cleaning, organizing things that don't matter. And the whole time you feel worse, guilty, anxious, ashamed. So why don't you just do it? If you know it needs to be done, if you know procrastinating makes it worse, why can't you stop? Here's why. Procrastination isn't about time. It's about emotion. And the emotion you're avoiding isn't laziness. It's something much more specific. Psychologist Tim Pychyl has spent decades studying procrastination, and his research is clear. Procrastination is an emotion regulation problem, not a time management problem. When you procrastinate, you're not avoiding the task. You're avoiding how the task makes you feel. Anxiety about doing it wrong, shame about where you're starting from, frustration that it's hard, fear that even if you try, it won't be enough. Researcher Fuschia Sirois confirmed this in a 2022 study. She found that people procrastinate most on tasks that trigger negative emotions, even when those tasks are objectively important. And procrastination makes those emotions worse. You're not reducing your anxiety by avoiding the task, you're adding guilt and shame on top of it. And now you're carrying the weight of the original emotion plus the weight of procrastinating, which makes starting even harder. Here's what happens in your brain. When you think about starting the task, your amygdala, the part of your brain that detects threats, fires. It registers the negative emotions associated with the task as a kind of danger. And your brain's immediate response is avoidance. Do something else. Anything else. Scrolling, snacking, cleaning, doesn't matter, as long as it gives you a hit of relief in the short term, and it does, temporarily, but the task is still there, and now it's bigger. The problem is that most productivity advice treats procrastination like a discipline problem. Just use a timer, break it into smaller steps, eliminate distractions. And those tools can help, but only if you address the emotional barrier first. If the task feels threatening, no amount of structure will make you start. You'll just find more creative ways to avoid it. Here's what actually works. The first step is to name the emotion. Not, I'm procrastinating, but I'm avoiding this because I'm scared I'll fail. Or, I'm avoiding this because I'm ashamed of how behind I am. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman's research shows that labeling an emotion reduces its intensity. You're not eliminating the feeling, you're taking away its power to control you. The second step is to shrink the emotional barrier, not the time commitment. Most advice says break the task into 10-minute chunks, but if the task feels emotionally overwhelming, 10 minutes still feels like too much. So you make the first step absurdly small. Open the file. Write one sentence. Put on your shoes. The goal isn't to finish, the goal is to interrupt the avoidance pattern. Once you're in motion, even barely, the emotional intensity drops. The third tool, and this one is the hardest, is self-compassion. Kristen Neff's research at the University of Texas shows that self-compassion is a better predictor of behavior change than self-discipline. When you shame yourself for procrastinating, your brain interprets that as more threat, and threat makes you want to avoid even more. But when you say, this is hard, and it's okay that it's hard, you lower the emotional stakes. And when the stakes are lower, starting becomes possible. You're not procrastinating because you're lazy. You're procrastinating because you're human, and your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort. The work isn't to power through the discomfort. It's to make the first step feel safe enough that your brain stops resisting. Subscribe to Quiet Wiring. Next time, we'll talk about rejection and why your brain treats it like a broken bone.